Welcome to the Better Podcast with me, Jen Beard and Bayleys. Today I'm joined by Linda Simmons. Linda has been in real estate for over 10 years. For pretty much all of that time, she has been one of Bayleys' top salespeople out of Devonport. This is a woman who has managed to find something really unique to bring to her business. Before she was in real estate, she ran marketing for a global company. So she has brought a unique insight to getting to know her clients and their homes. There is so much gold in this conversation. Not only is Linda an award-winning real estate agent, she has also won the Rhines Multimedia Marketing Award multiple times. You are definitely going to learn something from this. Linda Simmons, thank you so much for joining me on the Better Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
This is an exciting conversation. Linda and I go way back. In fact, Linda sold a home of mine at Hauraki Corner in Auckland, 2014.
Exactly.
And we had one of those auctions that just absolutely went for it. It was exactly what I needed at the time. But you were pretty new to real estate at that point.
Yep, it was my second listing.
I don't know that I knew that at the time. I don't think I knew that when I listed the property with you. But the reason I listed with you was because I loved the videos that you were doing. Nobody else at the time was doing it, way back in the olden days, 2014. I really felt like that was going to make a difference. And I think it really, really did. So your background is in global marketing.
Yep.
If you just sort of project yourself back into that world, you obviously made a decision to come into real estate. But what did you bring with you that has made you the agent that you are?
Yes, background in global marketing, and I'd been doing that for 20 years with Nestle and all around the world. Kitkat was my baby, and so I learned through Kitkat basically how to get into the heart of a brand. And how to get people to buy something on impulse, because no one ever has Kitkat on their shopping list. They buy it because of the engagement that we create with it. And that's something that I didn't realize was instilled in me. And it's something that I have gone on, and I'll talk to you about it, gone on to include and use in marketing of real estate. I loved my career in the corporate world with a passion. It was exciting. I was traveling the world. But then we had kids. And when they were 4 and 5, we decided to come back to New Zealand and to bring our kids up and give them a Kiwi lifestyle. And so kind of what made me jump from the corporate world into real estate, it was literally a life choice about coming back to New Zealand to be in a Kiwi upbringing area for my kids. And also it was a moment in time. So I bumped into an ex-colleague of mine who had left Nestle way back, and she was selling real estate and just told me that it was fun and I'd have a great time. I had come back and I joined the school fundraising team and run my own little consultancy. I left Nestle when I got back. I thought, there's no way I'm doing real estate. And then I slept on it and signed up the next day for the in-house training at Unitech. And I just thought, well, why not learn? Why not give it a go? I told my sister what I was going to do, and she said, you're crazy, I'll never see you. And then she slept on it overnight and said, if I don't do it with you, I will never see you, so I'm going to join you. So that's what kind of got us into it. And we spent that whole 6 weeks wondering what the hell we were doing and why we were doing it. And I spent that time trying to work out, did I want to do it? And what was I going to bring? Because I think the most important thing that I learned in my marketing background is that you need to understand people's needs. You actually need to get to the heart of what people want. And I thought, if I'm going to do this, I need to understand what people want. And I need to understand what I need to do in order to deliver what people want. Because why should people use me?
If everybody had that thought process when they were getting their license or doing their qualification, we would have so many more successful real estate professionals. If you did nothing else other than have that thought process, how am I going to serve these people? What is it that they need? What are they really trying to achieve? It's so fundamental to this business, right?
It's incredible. And I didn't imagine what I would find out. So I thought, I can't just guess this stuff. So I need to ask people. So while I was doing my training, I actually interviewed 2 or 3 agents to see how they might sell my house. And then I saw what they offered. And then I thought, I'm going to talk to all my friends and people I meet who have sold a house in the last few years and ask them, what was the experience like? What did they enjoy? What didn't they enjoy? And I actually was surprised by the answers, because I thought the answer was all going to be about what price I got. And like no one actually mentioned or whinged about the price they got or said they got a great price. It's not about price. It's about how they were made to feel. I don't know why it was such a shock, but it was a real shock. And what came out of it was that they felt two things. And one of them was that the agent didn't really understand them and didn't really, I guess, give them the time of day and didn't really understand their home. That was a really loud and clear message. And then the other message was, oh my God, it was so stressful. Oh, it was so hard. We had to this, we had to that. And I thought, okay, there's two things here. One is that people see this whole thing as incredibly stressful, so no wonder they don't enjoy it. So if I could take stress out of the picture, then they might enjoy the journey a bit more. That was important. But the more fundamental thing was, how do I want people to feel? And it is all about how you want people to feel. So that was a kind of aha moment for me. And so that was my sort of research. And then I thought, okay, I now need to also research how real estate is marketed. Like, is there an opportunity to do things better or different? And what I found out is that selling real estate or selling your home, your family home especially, and I live in Devonport, beautiful homes, and selling many homes for people who have been there for years. And it's the most emotional thing that you can go through. You're letting go of your family home that you've lived in for years and years and years, and you're so in two minds about it, but you have no choice generally. So you're going into a rest home or you're whatever life situation takes over and you need to sell. And I looked at the marketing, I thought, God, like no one's zoning in on that. And it's not just selling that's emotional, it's buying, because you're spending a whole load of money and you're trying to buy a home for your family, and you're not buying a house.
You're buying a dream.
A lifestyle. Yeah, you're literally buying your dream.
Yeah.
And I thought, no one is selling the dream. They're describing houses.
Yeah,
they're going features, bedrooms, bathrooms, and pictures. And I couldn't differentiate between anything that was out there. And I thought, whoa.
And this is because what you're trying to sell is, how are you going to live in this house?
Yeah.
I mean, every house has got a kitchen. Every house has got bedrooms.
Yeah.
Like some of them have got backyards. That's blindingly obvious when you look at the photographs, right? But actually, it's how are you going? What kind of life will we have?
Jen, you're on it. Like it's
when we move in.
It's so true. It's about the life. So I thought, well, how do I do this? Because, through pictures and words, because really people look at the pictures and then they'll look at the first paragraph and then they'll switch off because it all looks the same. And it's full of real estate jargon. I thought, okay, how am I actually going to do this? And then I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the people who live in the home to tell me the story of their home, because they're the ones that know the home better than me.
People have been doing that for a long time too. I'm going to ask you, then I'm going to write my ad copy. But you took it another step. You shoved a camera in their face.
Yes. But, that was one of those moments in time where my very first listing, and I turned up with the videographer. By the way, I still work with the same videographer today. We're just joint at the hip. He still does my work today. That's for 10 years later. So turned up at the shoot, and this couple had lived there for 45 years. And they say, 45 years of happy family living. We are looking forward to welcoming you in. So yes, I put them on camera. I thought, what am I doing? Like they're in their 80s. But I asked them to tell me the story of their home. And oh my God, it was so powerful. And so that video was the first, I guess, video to go out like that, where it was actually the vendors, the owners telling the story of the home. And it really hit a note in the market. And what happened was that it went viral, and that's viral for those days because there was nothing really like social media around or nothing like that. But it basically hit the highest ever hits that had happened on that agency's website. And not only for the number of times it was watched, but for the retention. I was actually being rung up by the head of the company saying 98% of people watching your video are watching it the whole way through. How did you do that?
This is because it was an actual video as well, rather than back in those days, the video was just like the photographs panning across. Remember those awful things?
But back in those days, Jen, I don't know if you remember exactly, but back in those days, the Trade Me and real estate and stuff, they didn't even have video on their portals. So it's only on the agency listing website did you see video. And if they were used, they were like, they weren't. It was like a slideshow, and we can all do that. So that video went kind of quite. It caused so much attention. And when I was asked how I did it, I just said, I think maybe it was just interesting. And I think that was the answer. It was fascinating for people. So that home went on to have a great result. And the most amazing thing was that home was bought completely on impulse. And that's when I went, oh my God.
I'm onto something.
I'm onto something, because the family that bought that house had literally just bought and started a renovation on what they thought was then the home of their dreams. And they saw this because I sent out little postcards with handwritten, watch the video, and they'd watched the video. And they called me up and said, can we see it? And they came to see it. And anyway, they bought it. And they just started a 9-month renovation on their home. And that was crazy. So I thought, whoa. And what it came down to was that the owners of that property talking about it was a 1/4 acre section, the kids could play rugby, and the kids coming in with a new family were rugby addicts. And it was literally down to the kids wanting to play rugby on the lawn that they made this completely irrational decision. Then they gave me their house to sell.
But this is just an illustration of kind of buyer behaviour and the importance of that emotional connection, right?
Yeah.
Because I think this is something that we in real estate know that people outside of this industry often don't. Don't mistake this as a business that's about property.
Yeah.
This is a business that is about people.
So much about people. If you can tune into people's hearts, and if you can actually authentically care for people, I think authentically is a word I want to use quite a lot and see quite a lot, because you have to show people that you care. You know, that family went on to move into that home. And by the way, 10 years later, they've only just finished their renovation on the new home. took some time to save up. But, you know, that campaign was entered into the REINZ Multimedia Marketing Awards that year. And I thought, really? I said to my husband, let's go along and watch, because I want to find out what you have to do to win that award, because, you know, like if I want to think I'm good at marketing, I need to understand what I need to do. And I was given the runner-up award, and I was given more accolade than everybody else, who, like the one that won the award, because of it being so different. Again, it was like, okay, I'm onto something. I need to go with this.
How has your approach then evolved over the last, you know, more recently? You know, things are changing in this industry all of the time. Emotional connection is still really important. How has your approach evolved and changed and improved, do you think?
From the very early days, like I talked about the 2 things I found out. One was high stress and one was no emotion. So I thought, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to remove stress and we're going to add emotion. Take something out, put something in. That's what we did. So as I said, my sister trained with me, and we decided to team up in a very different way from other agents. And again, this evolved over the first couple of years. It wasn't like automatic the first couple of years. And her role for me is to basically remove stress. That's her objective. And so she runs a whole Get Ready for Market service. It's free when you list with me. She project manages it for free, but she has a raft of tradies and suppliers and everything you could possibly need to get ready that just jump when she says jump. And we get properties ready with no stress for the vendors. So she'll hold their hands if they want that. She'll send them off to work if they never want to see it. They just want to come back when it's done. Out of the country, whatever their needs are, we service them, and they don't have to worry about how the house is going to look. That's down to us. That has evolved over time from kind of like a little bit of an idea to actually an essential part of our offering. And it's quite funny because my sister's quite direct. She's dyslexic, she's a bit ADHD, hence why she does no paperwork, but she's blunt. You know, she literally will go into people and say, that needs to go, this needs to go, that needs to move. Sometimes we go in for like a signing up or an appraisal, and she starts moving the furniture before we've even signed it up and go, no, wait, just wait. So people are a bit taken aback. I just kind of coach them into that she has their interest at heart. And of course, by the end, they love her literally more than they love me, because she took the stress out of their lives. So that's, you know, there were times I thought, like, why? She's dangerous almost, because she's quite upfront. But I know that the value she brings to people's lives, they feel so loved, cared for, and looked after. And that's what people rave about. And that's often why people come to us, because They want that experience from her. So that's evolved over time and become really important. And in terms of the adding emotion, I just worked on the simple video concept. From the first one I made, you'll remember the experience where I got you talking on video and you probably hated every moment of it.
I was quite comfortable about it. I think the interesting thing about that video is that it didn't actually look like I was getting divorced.
No, it didn't.
And the dog in the backyard appeared to be mine.
Yes, we talked about the children, but they were actually not the children of yours. They were the children of the family. So, and I think we need to make it really clear. We weren't making stuff up. We were just making sure that it was seen as a happy family home, and we didn't want the message out there, oh, by the way, they're getting divorced, like, come in, buy now. At the end of the day, we got sort of like, I don't know, we had 6 or 7 family bidders, and they wanted to know that they were going into a happy family home, and they were going into a happy family home. They've made it that way. So that was amazing. So I've worked on that over time in terms of evolving how, I used to say to the vendors that they had to be in my videos, and then I found out that people weren't using me because they were too scared. So I then thought, okay, well, it's actually not scary. I just need to have a method that shows them it's not scary. I don't script these videos. I have 4 questions that I ask the vendors, and I ask them whether they're going to be on camera. And I call them my Kitkat questions because they are, for me, getting to the heart of what they're about. And Kitkat has 4 fingers. Everything links back to Kitkat. And the questions are really simple, like, what made you buy this home? What do you love about living in the home? There's 4 questions like that. And they just roll.
What are the other 2?
What made you buy it? What do you love about living in the home? Tell me about your favourite parts of the home and why are you leaving? The why are you leaving bit we don't focus on so much unless it's 45 years of happy family living, So we use the content. So they're the questions and they just roll. And they talk with so much excitement and so much passion and so much authenticity. And it just takes it out of my hands. It's not what I think, it's what they know.
Those videos do look very authentic. Just people seem very real in them, right? Because they're just telling you about what it's like to live there as opposed to putting on any kind of show.
By the way, the why you're leaving question, I've got several videos where the vendors are in tears and that's just so gorgeous. They well up. And
you also talk about authenticity in terms of how you are with people. Let's talk a bit about the value of that these days.
Hugely, hugely important. It comes back to the point I was making about making sure you understand people. I think another powerful thing of my video method or my video questions is that they feel that I understand and I know them and I know their home, and then they trust me to communicate the home because they've been involved, so heavily involved. They buy into it. They're on the mission with me. And so I very rarely have a problem when it comes to sale time. People they know that they were there.
It communicates to them that it's not about the sale of the house, that actually you're showing genuine care for the lives they've lived and the change that they're choosing to make, because people often are not making a property decision. They make a life choice and the property decision comes second, and that's the piece that you're navigating. But actually you're helping them to get on with the next phase of their life, whatever that might be.
And that's really interesting point at the moment, Jen, because the market's so kind of challenging. There's no one that wants to go on the market right now because they think that they're not going to get a great price. It's a bad market, whatever. Some of them need to go on the market, like they're on the road to retirement villages, but they need to. There's couples I've been speaking to for 18 months about their journey, and I'll just go and listen and talk and see how they are, keep in touch constantly, just to say, where are you at? How are you thinking? What are you thinking? Actually just genuinely care for them. And then one day they'll say, okay, I'm ready. But never do I go in and try and sign people up. I know it's probably against some of the training we get, but I never take listing agreements to my appraisals. Even when I'm going back with the submission and all that kind of stuff, I never take an agency agreement with me because I want people to think and I want people to reflect and I want people to be able to come back, and I want them to feel that I care, not that I'm trying to get their listing.
I feel like I know the answer to this question, but I want to ask you anyway. What do you like most about being in this business?
When you make such a positive change to people's lives, when you actually make their dreams come true. There's so many occasions where I burst into tears about things when I'm hopeless. When I see happy people, I'm in tears straight away. And that happens so often. And it's very rare that people are unhappy in any way. I mean, I stamp out unhappiness before it happens. It just doesn't happen because I love the feeling of making people happy.
If I was starting out on my real estate journey today, what advice would you give me to get cracking quickly? How would I start well?
The one thing I think that's really important is to work out if you're needed out there or not. Because a lot of people go into this thinking that it's a great way to make money and have work from home hours. Like it's kind of like, let's just do this part-time.
What successful real estate agent works part-time? My goodness.
Exactly. But a lot of people go in with that notion.
Yes.
That's what it's like, a lot of money for not a lot of work. It's so not like that. So I think to those starting out, it comes down to two things. It comes down to understanding points of difference. So it comes down to understanding what your points of difference are. Like, why do you deserve to be paid for doing this? What makes you better than everyone else? If you don't know that when you go for a listing, like, you don't deserve to get it. You really don't. And it needs to be true. And obviously I'm up against all the time people that use commission discounts and stuff like that and free marketing to get their listings. That's not my stand. That's not what I bring. I say that's what they bring. That's not what I bring. This is what I bring. And then the other thing is to really work out the key points of difference for each home. Because if you don't position the home effectively and well, and what's special about it, what's unique about it, why that home is something that people should fall in love with, then you're probably not going to get a great result. So you've actually got to get rid of the numbers when people are considering buying homes. Get rid of, there's so much number talk right now. Every website has different range estimates and different this and different that and CV arguments. Oh my God, numbers have come massively into the industry that never used to exist because they weren't available. Now they are, but you've got to get focus off the numbers and onto the emotion by understanding the home that you're selling and understanding the life that it offers. If people can do both those things, they deserve to do well.
I love your marketing brain. I love how much it has influenced your business and how successful you've been because of that. I think there's a hell of a lot for people to take away from this conversation. In fact, in the lead up to this, I did some homework on you and ended up having a Kitkat, choosing a Kitkat in the snack drawer because of you. I haven't had one for many, many years. And, as I was picking it up, I was like, oh, damn, I've been influenced. But that's the beauty of marketing, right? Yeah. Creating like an awareness and a consideration and a desire. Yeah. I love how you bring that to real estate. So thank you so much for all of that gold.
So you one little thing about Kitkat. Our goal with Kitkat, our one sentence was that we had to make people make a conscious decision not to purchase it. Like it had to be so in front of them. And this is what, for me, homes are about. People need to make a conscious decision as to why they won't buy the home that we're selling, not why they will, because why they will should be so obvious.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. I love it. I have one final question for you. What's one piece of advice that has truly made you better?
This goes back in time, and it's a book that I read a long time before real estate. It's one sentence within that book, which is seek to understand before you try to be understood. And I don't know if you know it, but it's Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's rule number 5 or habit number 5. I have used it throughout my career because my career in global marketing was not going in and telling each country how to do Kitkat, because Kitkat was different in every country. I came from England, which was like by far the global leader of Kitkat, and then I'd come to New Zealand where it was barely on the shelf. And so it's about understanding what's happening, asking, listening. So that one saying I've always in my mind, and whenever I go in for an appraisal or at the first meeting of clients, I kind of say nothing, like ask how can I help, and then shut up, and then just keep on asking questions if it goes quiet. Because if you don't understand, I just don't know how you stand a chance of giving the right advice. Most agents go in and seek to be understood, and they could be saying the completely wrong thing. So for me, seek to understand before trying to be understood. It has been my life guide.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been an absolute pleasure to hear your story. Thanks again for selling my house. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting all the way to the end of the Better Podcast with me, Jen Beard, and Bayleys. If you know someone who could get value out of this conversation, please share it. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to us. See you next time.